බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීඝ්‍රගාමී රසයේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්. බිස්කට් වේදිකාවට දැන් පැමිණි සීඝ්‍රගාමී රසයේ මංචි පොටේටෝ ක්‍රැකර්.
On satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is Other Derana 24/7.
Tonight on First at 9, no confidence motion. Joint opposition hands over another no confidence motion against Minister Ravi Karunanika. Sailing in profits. Central Bank governor says Hambantota port will bring in an investment of $400 million to Sri Lanka by December. New constitution. TNA parliamentarian Sumanthiran charges the same parliamentarians who approved the proposal of changing the constitution have forgotten the same fact. Commission on bond scam. Another order from Presidential Commission on Bond Issuance to hand over the mobiles of the CEO of Perpetual Treasuries. And in international headlines, strange signals from Pakistan. Pakistan's new Prime Minister Shahid Khan Abbasi begins his day in office by meeting his ousted former boss Nawaz Sharif. Live across Sri Lanka, this is Other Derana 24/7. Good evening everyone, I'm Mahesh Johnny and we begin tonight with information on a no confidence motion. A no confidence motion was handed over to the Parliament against former Minister of Finance Ravi Karunanika, who testified before the Commission of Inquiry probing the controversial bond issuance yesterday. The no confidence motion was signed by 32 parliamentarians of the joint opposition.
The joint opposition handed over the no-confidence motion against Minister of Foreign Affairs Ravi Karunanika to the Deputy Secretary-General of Parliament Neil Iddavala today. It was presented claiming that Arjun Aloysius engaged in a scam in the primary market of bonds during his tenure as the Minister of Finance. A no-confidence motion brought against the minister in 2016 was defeated by a majority vote. In the meanwhile, several politicians expressed their views on the issue.
We informed the Bribery Commission of these allegations several months ago, but no one accepted them. Yesterday, the entire country accepted what was done by Minister Ravi Karunanika. We invited all the members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party to vote against him. The JVP too said that they will vote against him. A number of UNP parliamentarians and ministers told us in confidence that they will vote against him. We will win this no-confidence motion and he should resign respectfully before that. If not, he will have to resign following the no-confidence motion.
එසේ නැත්නම් ඔහුට විශ්වාසභංගයෙන් ඉල්ලාස්වන්න සිදු වෙනවා. වෙනදා ගෙනාවු විශ්වාසභංග වගේ නෙවෙයි ජනාධිපති කොමිසම ඉදිරියේ එතුමා පිළිගත්තා.
එල්ලිපිට මේ විදිහේ
How can a minister who is thus accused appear before the international community as the Minister of Foreign Affairs? How grave is the black mark brought on the country by this? They came to power claiming Rajapaksas bought houses in various places. Now, who has bought houses from Aloysius? The former Minister of Finance is connected to this transaction. The basic issue of trust arises in this instance because he is the minister who deals with the international community. We asked the President if he approves the behavior of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. If not, what measures he plans on taking. Although he doesn't know, we clearly know that Ravi Karunanayake is the only name which starts from R and K among the 225 parliamentarians. He can't say he did not look into it, citing that it was his wife who bought the house. He is bound to annually declare assets and liabilities of his wife and unmarried children. Does that mean that the assets and liabilities provided by him are inaccurate? Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa yesterday responded to criticism levelled against him regarding the Shangri-La Hotel project. He took up the issue in response to questions raised by media following a meeting with the chief prelate of the Amarapura chapter, Most Venerable Agamaha Pandita Kotuwagoda Dhammawansathera. The former president also spoke about the bond issue. We said this would happen and they've done it. We don't know what sort of amendments are done here. Contradictory statements are made. And in the end, it's the country which is sold. What is the connection between giving a 4-acre land to build the hotel and giving away an entire port? Did it become a security threat? They sold it on freehold. I brought it an act which stopped lands being given freehold, but this government removed it. Investors came to this country after we built Shangri-La. That was our very first investment after the war. Presidential Commission of Inquiry to probe the controversial bond issuance today ordered Chief Executive Officer of Perpetual Treasuries Private Limited, Kasun Palisena, to hand over his communication devices to the Commission. The Commission also issued an order to the former Director of Perpetual Treasuries, Arjun Aloysius, prohibiting him or any other person from tampering or altering data stored in the archive of his mobile phone, which is currently in the possession of the CID officers attached to the Commission. Furthermore, the Commission warned any act from his part to do so would be a punishable offence. The Commission issued the order following the recent revelation where attempts were made to log into the archive through a mobile phone number registered to the wife of Aloysius.
Making an appearance on behalf of Chief Executive Officer of Perpetual Treasuries, Kasun Palisena, President's counsel Karling Indrathisa stated he would hand over his client's mobile phone but not his laptop since it contains privileged information between lawyer and client. He, however, said it will be handed over once Palisena appears before the Commission on coming Tuesday. Following a discussion between all parties, the Commission ordered Kasun Palisena's attorney to hand over the laptop before next Tuesday and to delete data from the 27th of January this year when the Commission launched its proceedings. The Commission ordered to provide a list of items that will be deleted from the laptop and agreed to delete them in the presence of representatives of all parties. The Attorney General's Department also emphasized that the confidentiality of data will not be infringed upon at any cost. In the meantime, the attorneys representing former Governor of the Central Bank, Arjuna Mahendran, Chanaka De Silva, brought the attention of the Commission to the usage of material that is placed before the Commission as evidence. According to him, the evidence usage process can be illegal, dangerous and prejudicial, and the Commission should be enlightened on the process of extracting evidence from communication devices such as mobile phones and laptops. He went on to say the experts who extract evidence from the devices should be brought before the Commission and the attorneys should be given an opportunity to examine them. Alluding to yesterday's session where Minister Ravi Karunanayake gave evidence before the Commission, Senior Additional Solicitor General Dapula De Oliveira said evidence extracted from communication and other devices will be authenticated in the near future.
The inauguration ceremony of the Golden Jubilee Congress of Sri Lanka College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists was held under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena today. A fellowship ceremony of the college was also held in line with the main event at the BMICH. Many dignitaries, including Minister of Health Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, participated in the event. Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faisal Mustafa says that election monitoring organizations object to holding local government elections separately. Convening a media briefing today, however, several election monitoring organizations conveyed that they are opposed to same-day elections if it means further postponement of elections. Members of the PAFRA organization met the Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faisal Mustafa today to discuss holding local government elections. Later addressing a media briefing of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Minister Faisal Mustafa expressed his views on the subject.
I had discussions with PAFRL and CMEV during the morning. They said holding sporadic elections is against democracy. I would like to say that this is not an attempt to postpone the local government election.
Meanwhile, convening a media briefing today, several election observer organizations expressed their views on holding elections on the same day.
If all provincial council elections are going to have to be held on one day after all provincial councils have run their current term, we are going into October 2019. Process of elections, the most fundamental process of choice and change in a functioning democracy, should not be tampered with. The government seems to be more concerned about its political fortunes than it is about the democratic health and strength of the country.
There's no point whatsoever talking about electoral reforms or so forth unless we are having a scheduled election. What we are lacking here is that due election. So first go for due election.
The local government election will be the first time quota for women will be implemented, and the continuous postponement of that election is really undermining the commitment towards women's empowerment and women's participation in politics in the country. And the fact that the government is putting forward this new amendment with the guise of increasing women's participation in the provincial council election, the fact that they are using this as the delay tactic is also not very positive.
We question the government whether the common date decided to hold the elections is after the 8th of October 2019 because the term of the Uva Provincial Council expires after that. There is a possibility of holding elections by bringing the term of provincial councils with 2 years of term left to that of ones which have expired. They can be dissolved by discussing with the Chief Minister and the Governor. I would like to ask the views of the members of political parties who represent Parliament on ignoring democracy.
TNA parliamentarian M.A. Sumantharan says that all 225 parliamentarians in the parliament unanimously agreed to repeal and replace the present constitution of the country, and some political parties have forgotten that fact. He made these remarks this evening addressing at a public forum organized by the Forum for Democracy and Social Justice under the theme Respect the People's Mandate and Change the Constitution.
We have come to a point where all the different parties had agreed, and on the 9th of March 2016, that resolution was adopted unanimously in Parliament. People who know the passage of that resolution, some of them are behaving as though they have forgotten the contents of that resolution. That resolution very clearly outlines what the Constitutional Assembly would do, what the steps are, that there would be a draft constitution for Sri Lanka, a constitution bill, which means a bill that will repeal and replace the constitution, nothing less. We have the mandate from our people, a very clear mandate to work for a solution within an undivided, indivisible country.
Minister of Social Empowerment, Welfare and Kandyan Heritage S.V. Dissanayake highlights that the subject minister has the power to register medical students rejected by the Sri Lanka Medical Council. He expressed these views at a media briefing in Colombo today. If Sri Lanka Medical Council is not recognizing medical graduates, the subject minister can ignore their decision and can register them as medical graduates. The relevant act grants that power. When I initiated the nursing degree course, the GMOS said I cannot extend the course beyond 3 years. I ignored it. The degree is already recognized, but the minister did not use his power and he let the court decide it. He was democratic.
Meanwhile, convening a media briefing today, the Government Medical Officers Association also expressed their views on the matter.
Minister S.B. Dissanayake is a person who is rejected by the public. We do not have to answer his questions. He should win an election and become a parliamentarian before closing down anything. He should not make statements while holding a ministerial position which fortune brought to him.
Politburo member of the JVP, K.D. Lalkantha, also expressed his views on the matter at the same media briefing.
Minister Rajitha Senaratne says that he will create 5 institutions which will award medical degrees like Saitam. They are attempting to sell the medical degree like vegetables. We will provide a week for the government to listen to the protest of the public, and we will announce our next step, which will be far worse than this. Also in other local stories, the Kaduvela Magistrates Court today issued instructions to carry out the preliminary process within 3 weeks for the release of the luxury sports car previously owned by parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa. The FCID had filed a case after the car in question, a Ford Mustang, was discovered at a garage in Kaduvela area after it was sold by the parliamentarian to another individual. And in another case, the Supreme Court extended the ban on dumping garbage accumulated from Colombo at the Muthurajabala Reserve. The 3-member judge bench postponed the petition hearing till the 21st of September. Now let's take a look at other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
Army Commander Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake met the Director General at the Institute of Strategic Studies, Research and Analysis of the National Defence University of Pakistan, Major General Muhammad Samrez Salik, yesterday. During the meeting held at the Army headquarters, Army Commander and the Director General discussed different modules of training process at the National Defence University of Pakistan and Sri Lanka Army Training Institutes. Sri Lanka Computer Emergency Response Team says they received nearly 1,950 internet-related complaints so far this year. Security engineer at SLCRT, Roshan Chandragupta, said most of the complaints are Facebook-related, while cases of unauthorized email access are also lodged. A woman died after being knocked down by a motorbike while crossing the road with her child. A CCTV camera recorded the incident, which occurred adjacent to the Jayanti Mawata along the Paduka Horana Road, left the victim dead. The chief of the indigenous folks, the Vaddas Uruwarige Vanilatho, today called on the chief prelates of the Asgiri and Mawati chapters in Kandy. A memorial for the 103 Islamic devotees killed by the LTTE 27 years ago at the Kattankudi Mosque in Batiklo was worked off today. The devotees were killed while they were engaged in evening prayers.
Let's take a short commercial break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The governor of the central bank, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, says that the Hammonth report will bring in an investment of $400 million to Sri Lanka within this year. Speaking at the media briefing today on the 5th Monetary Policy Review for 2017 held in Colombo, Dr. Kumaraswamy pointed out that the project will also create a surge in foreign direct investment inflow to Sri Lanka.
Taking into consideration the current and expected developments in the domestic and international macroeconomic environment and the need to maintain inflation at mid-single-digit levels over the medium term, the CBSL has decided to maintain the policy interest rates at their present levels. Accordingly, the standing deposit facility rate and standing lending facility rate of the central bank will remain unchanged at their current levels of 7.25% and 8.75% respectively.
There is going to be an upturn in FDI around Hambantota, Port City, etc. That is 100 million fairly shortly, and then 300 million 3 months time. Now it's 963 million comes in as a part of the lease, long lease, and then 168 comes in as part of investment. So 400 million this year.
The governor of the central bank said that the CBSL is hopeful of reaching its inflation target before the end of the year.
And in the last 3 months, we've seen inflation coming down. The inflation target is 4 to 6%. And we are fairly confident that the year will end at somewhere around 5%. And then in November, when the VAT base effect falls off, we see it tailing down again. And certainly in the first quarter of next year, come well within our target.
Journalists also questioned on the recent IMF review of Sri Lanka.
So, Governor, the IMF, in their review, they were asking the central bank to raise the interest rates. But now you are saying it's at the peak. So, you are disputing the IMF view?
You know, the IMF and we have different perceptions often, and we're not always wrong.
Governor, so you are saying IMF is wrong?
I'm not saying we're not always wrong.
The World Gold Council says the global demand for gold fell 14% in the first half of this year. Releasing a report today, it attributed the fall in demand for gold to a sharp decline in purchases by exchange-traded funds. Central bank buying also fell slightly in the first half, but purchases of bars, coins and jewelry grew thanks to strong demands in India and Turkey. Gold-backed ETFs saw record inflows last year to match a 30% rise in gold prices between January and June. But with the prices rising only around 8% in the same period, this year funds added only 56 tons in the second quarter, down 76% from last year, bringing first half inflows to 167.9 tons. Let's take you to the stock market now. Indices closed in red as a result of price losses in counters. SPI closed at 6,571.48 and S&P SL20 closed at 3,781.90. The turnover crossed 380 million rupees for the day. Now here is Imeshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange with all the details from the trading flow.
Top 5 gainers of the day were York Arcade, Trade Finance, Adam Capital, Colombo City Holdings and Singha Hospitals, while the top 5 losers were Blue Diamonds, Non-Voting, Adam Investments, Kamenets, Swiss Tech and Malan Phipps.
The Sri Lankan rupee traded weaker today. The spot rupee traded at 153 rupees and 53 to 58 cents per dollar, compared with Wednesday's close of 153 rupees and 45 to 53 cents. Now here's a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies during the day today.
Coming up next.
Another grueling day for Sri Lanka.
Next on Other Derana 24/7.
On to sports now. It was a grueling day in the field for Sri Lanka in the second test against touring India at the SSC grounds in Colombo. The visitors were on form once again as they ended the first day of the match on 344 runs for the loss of just 3 wickets.
India won the toss and elected to bat. The starman from the first test opener Shikhar Dhawan went after the Sri Lankan bowling just as he did in the first test, but was trapped in front by Dilruwan Pereira for 35. His partner Lokesh Rahul got to 57 before being run out. Captain Virat Kohli also fell, giving Sri Lanka hope, but it was soon vanquished. Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane got together and put on centuries in an unbeaten 211-run partnership. India will start day 2 on 344 for the loss of 3 wickets, with Pujara on 128 and Rahane on 103 runs.
The standoff between Cricket Australia and the players seems to be coming to an end, with a deal being agreed in principle by Australia's players to resolve a long-running pay dispute that could have threatened this winter's Ashes series against England. Cricket Australia said a deal was struck with the Australian Cricketers Association today.
Australia's leading 230 players have effectively been unemployed since the previous 5-year agreement expired on the 30th of June. Australia's tour of South Africa was cancelled in July amid the row of the scrapping of a revenue-sharing model. The Test tour of Bangladesh, starting this month, is now expected to go ahead.
The heads of agreement will restore much-needed certainty to the game of cricket. Today's agreement is the result of a sensible compromise from both parties. Change is never easy, but sometimes it's necessary, and as custodian of the game, Cricket Australia is responsible to seek change wherever it's needed, rather than just putting issues into the too hard basket. Neither side has got everything that we wanted out of these negotiations, but they shouldn't be approached with a winner-takes-all mindset. Enduring outcomes depend on the needs of both parties being recognised in the negotiations and in the outcome.
We'll be back with international news. Stay with us. On to international news now. Pakistan's new Prime Minister Shahid Khan Abbasi began his first full day in office today by meeting his ousted former boss Nawaz Sharif, a signal the ex-premier would continue to wield influence after the Supreme Court disqualified him. Pakistani television broadcast images of Abbasi's motorcade arriving in the northern resort town of Muri, where Sharif is staying with his family.
Abbasi was elected with 221 votes from the 342-member National Assembly. He took an oath which was administered by President Mamoon Hussain on the same day. The new elected Prime Minister thanked Nawaz Sharif after the vote, saying, quote, "The process of democracy is back on track," unquote, and rejected claims that he would only serve as a placeholder for Shahbaz Sharif. Opposition groups had also nominated candidates, but the ruling Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz Party holds a majority and was easily able to get their candidate through.
Brazil's lower house of Congress yesterday voted to reject a corruption charge against President Michel Temer for allegedly taking bribes, saving him from facing a possible Supreme Court trial that could have ousted him from office.
The president has been accused of receiving $12 million in bribes from the boss of a giant meatpacking firm in Brazil. He denied the allegation. In the 513-seat chamber, 263 voted against the motion to send the president for trial and 227 voted in favor, well below the 342 needed for the motion to pass. He vowed to complete his term of office, which ends in December 2018. The Congress session was marred by scenes of chaos and angry exchanges.
Time now to take a look as to what the weather holds for the next 24 hours. Here is Katharina Chang from the Weather Centre.
A very good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. Starting off with temperatures tonight, we can expect a range from mild 21 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius over the next 24 hours. Now, the low pressure zone in the southwest region is still prevalent over the next 24 hours, extending over the Ratnapura district. Meanwhile, we can expect some cloudy weather with slight drizzle over Vaunia, Trincomalee and Ratnapura areas, while the wet weather is expected to continue over the Hambantota, Matara, Galle and Colombo regions. That's it from the Weather Centre tonight. Let's now take a quick look at the city by city forecast.
And that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. We will return tomorrow first at 9. Be sure to join us then. And before we leave you, we'd like to take you to Minissa in the southern coast of Sri Lanka. Its deep sea is home to hundreds of whales and dolphins and is one of the most prominent tourist destinations in the country. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.
The news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.